You know how it is. So I decided let's talk about Alan Dershowitz today, who is clearly one of the worst people of all time. Spouse Carolyn Cohen and Sue Barlach. Let's see. Alan Morton Dershowitz, born September 1st, 1938, is an American lawyer and law professional known for his work in constitutional and criminal law. From 1964 to 2013, he taught at Harvard Law School, where he was appointed as the Felix Frankfurter Professor of Law. Felix Frankfurter, huh? In 1993, Dershowitz is a regular media contributor, political contributor, and legal analyst. Oh, he went to Yale. Anytime I see rich and powerful that went to Yale, you know, like J.D. Vance, I immediately assume they are skull and bones. Sorry about that. Let me just send some messages real quick. Just trying to let the people that want to know I'm live, that I'm live. I love how Thaddeus is always, it's 8 in the morning, and Thaddeus was last live 5 hours ago. For as old as he is, man, he sure does live a good life. Party until 3 in the morning, for real. That's dangerous. You get yourself in trouble. Thaddeus works hard though, so throughout the week. So he has a child named Elon. Elon Dershowitz was an American film producer until August 17th, 2025, when he died. What? August 17th, 2025. You would think you would have heard about that. Dershowitz was born June 23rd, 1961 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, the son of attorney Alan Dershowitz. At age 10, Dershowitz was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and told he would not live to see his bar mitzvah. He became blind due to the brain tumor. He graduated from Hampshire College, then worked at the Harvard Business School's audiovisual department. Throughout his career, he produced a number of feature films, including Reversal of Fortune and The Whole Truth. Dershowitz died on August 17, 2025, at the age of 64 after suffering a stroke. And that's literally it. That's really it. Weird. The Whole Truth is an American legal thriller directed by Courtney Hunt and written by Nicholas Kazan. I just want to see what this is about. I have an idea, but defense attorney Richard Ramsey works on a case of a 17-year-old Mike Lasseter's alleged murder of his wealthy lawyer father, Boone, a professional friend. Ramsey feels pressure to save Mike, but Mike's complete silence makes it difficult. Ramsey employs young, talented lawyer Janelle Brady, daughter of another professional friend, as his associate. So, Dershowitz's son makes a movie about a son of a powerful lawyer who wants to kill him. If my kid made a movie about some guy who talked bad about Israel and such, and he wanted to kill him, I'd be worried. First witness, a flight attendant for a charter flight, states that she witnessed tension between father and son on a return journey from Stanford. In a flashback, Mike wants to go to Reed College, but Boone forces him to attend Stanford University. I remember growing up and hearing Stanford and then hearing Stamford. I'm like, is people saying it wrong? What's going on here? Stanford or Stanford? The police officer who first responded to the call testified that at the scene of the crime, Mike muttered, "I should have done it a long time ago." And chief detective affirmed that his fingerprints were found on the murder weapon. The Lassiter's neighbors testified that Mike was very close to Boone when he was young, but gradually grew distant in his teens, and also report Boone's arrogant attitude towards his family and neighbors. Flashbacks show Boone's various affairs and his bossy and belittling behavior towards his wife, Loretta, both in public and private. Loretta testifies she endured emotional and physical abuse for years, including the day of his death. She testifies she went to take a shower after the fight, and when she came back, she found his corpse. She tearfully says that Mike admitted to her that he did it. Ramsey provides pictures of her bruised body taken the day after Boone's death as evidence of his cruelty. Really strange that Alan Dershowitz's son produced this movie, is associated with this movie. The blind son of Alan Dershowitz. Strange. Mike finally decides to talk and demands to take the stand over Ramsey's objections. He corroborates his mother's and neighbor's version about his father's arrogance and cruelty, and suddenly admits to killing his father, not to save his mother, but to save himself, as he was raped by his father since he was 12 years old. I mean, this is some standard Friar shit right here. Mike says the abuse resumed on their flight back from Stanford, and he killed Boone when he again tried it on the day of his death. The prosecution calls the flight attendant, who first insists that nothing happened on the flight. Under questioning by Janelle, the attendant admits to covering up her extramarital affair with the co-pilot and potentially spending too much time in the cockpit to confidently deny any unusual interactions between father and son. Janelle later becomes suspicious about Mike's story, meets Loretta outside the courtroom, and gradually deduces that Mike is protecting Loretta. She confronts Ramsey, who says that his duty is to save Mike, not to find the truth. She angrily leaves, making Ramsey worried about the jury's reaction to her absence. But he continues with the case. Despite the lack of evidence of Boone's abuse, the jury acquits Mike. While waiting for his belongings in a private room, Mike confronts Ramsey, saying that he saw his mother covertly remove Ramsey's watch from beside his father's corpse. Mike says that he took the blame in order to save his mother, but that he will not protect Ramsey. Ramsey denies his involvement and tells him that the case will not stand, and it only hurts Mike's credibility. Mike disbelieves him, but reluctantly drops it for lack of evidence. As they all leave the courthouse, Ramsey recalls the true events. He and Loretta were having an affair when Boone became suspicious about his wife's infidelity. Ramsey advises him to divorce her, but Boone implies that he would kill her if she left him. Loretta and Ramsey conspire to kill him and present the case as self-defense on Loretta's part, but Mike comes home early before they can arrange the evidence. He confesses to the crime. That is weird. I mean, it would be weird anyway, but to think that Dershowitz's son is Throughout it, he produced a number of feature films, including Reversal of Fortune in 1990 and The Whole Truth in 2015. Well, that's a pretty, 25 years between flicks. Reversal of Fortune is a 1990 American drama directed by Barbette Schroeder that was adopted from the 85 Reversal of Fortune inside von Bleuel case, written by law professor Alan Dershowitz. It recounts the true story of the unexplained coma of socialite Sonny von Bülow, the subsequent attempted murder trial, and the eventual acquittal of her husband, Klaus von Bülow, who had Dershowitz as his defense attorney. So Dershowitz is the lawyer on this case, and then his son produces a movie about the case. How is that okay? Film stars Jeremy Irons as Klaus, Glenn Close as Sonny, Ron Silver as Dershowitz, screenwriter Nick Kazan, same fucking screenwriter. Klaus Maria Irons earned the 1990 Academy Award for Best Actor. Jeremy's Iron. Sonny von Bülow, a millionaire heiress and socialite, lies in a hospital bed in a persistent vegetative state after falling into a coma from diabetic shock on December 21st, 1980. A year previous, she fell into a coma on December 26, 1979, but was revived. Her husband, Klaus von Bülow, is charged with attempted murder by injecting the hypoglycemic Sonny with an overdose of insulin. During the trial, it is discovered Klaus was having an affair with Alexandra Isles. Instead, to gain financially, if Sonny had died, he was found guilty on 2 counts of murder, of attempted murder. Wasn't Dershowitz the defense attorney? While Klaus von Bülow is released on bond, he files an appeal and phones Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz for representation. Dershowitz agrees only if Klaus pays him $300 an hour, as he tries to save 2 young black brothers from the electric. Man, that Dershowitz, he's such a good guy. As he reviews the case, Dershowitz is convinced Klaus is guilty based on the testimony of Maria, the von Bülow's maid. Dershowitz is given 45 days to follow the appeal and assemble several of his law students to review the case. Dershowitz is later informed that David Marriott, a potential witness, At his New York apartment, Marriott confesses that he worked as a drug trafficker, but Dershowitz believes he is an unreliable witness. Meanwhile, Dershowitz's legal team learn Robert Brillhofer, the plaintiff's attorney, has illegally withheld notes that could help Klaus's defense. They are also alerted to a magazine interview given by Truman Capote, who states Sonny loved to mix drugs and alcohol and taught herself how to self-inject. Klaus lunches with Dershowitz's legal team, who questioned him about Sonny's overdose on aspirin 3 weeks before her second coma. Klaus is unclear what could have motivated her to suicide, but presumes she was unhappy. Afterward, Klaus confesses he told Sonny of his affair with Alexandra Isles during the summer of '79. After Sonny is revived from her first coma, she reprimanded Klaus for calling a doctor and suggested he would have been better off if she had died. Dershowitz's defense team receives the toxicology report of the encrusted needle, which reveals no trace of insulin. Afterwards, Marriott arrives at Dershowitz's house and claims his affidavit is not accurate. While he covertly records the conversation, Marriott assists that he delivered drugs directly to Sonny once. He then doctors the recording to make it appear Dershowitz agreed to pay Marriott as a witness. Before the trial, Klaus details what led up to Sonny's second coma, in which he found her lying face down on the bathroom floor with the windows open in frigid room temperature. Based on Klaus's testimony, Anne believes Klaus is innocent and tells his team that he will seek to overturn the conviction based on insufficient evidence. When Dershowitz dismisses his case, he is told by his students that the jury reversed 2 convictions and they have obtained Brillhofer's notes. Dershowitz arrives at the New York hotel suite where Klaus is staying. He hands him the notes, having discovered conflicting circumstantial evidence that could exonerate Klaus in his second trial. Relieved, Klaus agrees to pay Dershowitz's legal fees. While Dershowitz tells him it is a legal victory, he tells Klaus morally, you are on your own. Klaus is tried for a second time and acquitted, while 2 young brothers remain on death row. Oh, man. Man. That's fucking... So Dershowitz is able to magically power anytime it's one of these elites or these friars. He can fix them, fix their situation, no problem. But those 2 little black brothers, destined for the electric chair, meh. Good old AD can't do anything about it. So those are the 2 movies that Dershowitz's blind son, he produced. Look at those teethus. Look at those teethus. All right, Elon. His name is Elon. I had never heard that name Elon before until Elon Musk. Elon must be a friar name. Do we even talk about Elon Musk possibly being a friar? You know, 2 stories that have completely disappeared are the Bubba story, whatever happened to blowing Bubba, and the Elon Musk says Trump is in the Epstein files, that's why he won't release them. Basically disappears for a while, and now they're buddies again. Trump never sued Elon for defamation, you know, like Trump loves to do. Nothing. It just went away, and I mean, literally, that's it. It just goes away. You're supposed to forget about it. How did the Bubba story disappear? How does Putin still have the pictures of Bubba, of Trump blowing Bubba? How did that just disappear? All right, let's go. Dershowitz has taken on high-profile and often unpopular cases and clients. As of 2009, he had won 13 of the 15 murder and attempted murder cases he handled as a criminal appellant court lawyer. So 13 out of 15 times he gets the person off. That's some power, man. He must be just a really, really great attorney. That's Augo. How's it going, man? How's it going, man? Ready to learn about Dershowitz today? What's crazy is, so, you know that Wikipedia and whatnot is controlled by Israel. No doubt about it. I guess we can prove it real quick because everybody likes proof, right? So here's Naftali Bennett, former, at the time, he's a future Israeli prime minister. Currently, he's a former Israeli prime minister. and he's talking to the Israeli National News. This is a high-ranking Israeli operative.
Metzitzia, in conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature. I came here.
Naftali Bennett in the running to become Israel's next prime minister. Let's see what this one.
Ever since I started wearing hands-free glides.
Naftali Bennett is a multi-millionaire and former tech entrepreneur. The son of U.S.-born parents, the former Special Forces commando sold his startup for $145 million in 2005 and ventured into politics and the Likud party the following year. He served as Benjamin Netanyahu's chief of staff until 2008. And though he later broke away from Likud, he served as Minister of Defense, Education, and Economy under various Netanyahu governments, despite their strained relations.
Sounds like they have
Bennett rose to the head of the nationalist religious party Yamina in 2020 and has since made no secret of his desire to become the Israeli right's new leading figure. Unlike some of his ultra-conservative allies, Bennett holds a relatively liberal stance on gay rights and secularism. An advocate of liberalizing the economy, he's pushed for cutting red tape and taxes. But expanding settlements and annexing much of the occupied West Bank have arguably been at the center of his political platform.
I believe I'm the only one in our party, is the only party on this podium that opposes founding a Palestinian state within the land of Israel, between the Jordan and the Mediterranean.
He opposes
Building a viable anti-Netanyahu government could force Naftali Bennett to water down some of his most ideological views, at least for...
What the fuck is going on here? Sorry, I have to talk shit on this video. Whatever happens, God's covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will not be denied. He exactly like Mr. Pennywise when he smiles. Great, he's worse. A pair of flip-flops right and left, same killing regime. Bennett is crazy, yo. Netanyahu will still be grim. Okay, so the thing about him, the reason why he even supposedly, I hate to say won, but was put in to the prime minister position at the time. The only difference between him and Netanyahu is that Netanyahu had a plan, a long plan that nobody realized, right? Netanyahu believed that all Israelis at 18 years old should serve. They should do a term of service. Now, what that means, yeah, that's a joke. Like, they're never in any danger. It's never any sort of true, like, military sort of situation. But Naftali Bennett believed that all fighting and all that's for the Goyim. That the friars are supposed to, do their pilgrimages and travel around the world for free on the government's tit, on the U.S. government's tit. and just be their entitled Jewish selves. And I always found it strange because, like, obviously Netanyahu thinks along those lines as well. But what's the difference? Well, now that this year, you find out that the U.S. government is going to pay the medical bills, the life insurance, the this, that, and the other for any ex-soldier, Israeli soldier, for any ex-Israeli military person, and you put it together that, holy shit, that was the plan the whole time. Netanyahu's been setting his people up to have the best health care, the best insurances, the best everything directly paid for by the U.S. government, so they don't even have to take it out of the $3.8 billion a year. It's actually pretty brilliant. I mean, I don't think it was Netanyahu all by himself or anything. Obviously, it was the long plan. But like, this is part of that thing that you're just not paying attention to. This is that thing that this is one of those pieces that you're meant to just shut up, Goyim. Pay attention to the explosions. The Epstein files were released. Do you guys see the Epstein files? Go pay attention to the Epstein files. Go on, Goyim. Go on. I mean, but do you guys think I didn't know that shit was going on? In the world that I live in, do you honestly think anything that goes on, Israel, any major anything with Israel, something like that, legislation, you think I don't know about that stuff? Of course I did. Of course I knew that there was a new batch of Epstein files set to be released and all that shit, of course. And like I said to you, and always have said to you, who gives a fuck? There's nothing is going to leak through. Like, the only way that works is through their arrogance. So that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping that they missed something. In the careful, I mean, think about it, it's been fucking years, years and years that the government has had these files. And according to, sources, that Trump has thousands of people working on it, blah, blah, all these different narratives that you've been given. And I always say, you don't really think there's like Freedom of Information Act man is standing behind the uploaders and going, you better upload that. Freedom of Information Act man says so. No. Mark Levin, the friar, says that Trump is the first friar president, and he agreed. Right. Trump, I know that I remember hearing Trump converted like a decade ago. I know his daughter converted, but I remember hearing Trump converted all those years back. And it's not even like, if you even question Trump's loyalty, you're an idiot. Trump is clearly the Israeli bitch. There's just no other way around it. By the way, if you're watching this, like, share, sub, help out. They censor the fuck out of me. I have 2,500 subscribers. 2,500 subscribers, and I have 5 viewers. Make sense? What's stupid is that he intentionally keeps his religious beliefs ambiguous. But he only does that because he knows. Ouch. Why would he? I mean, he talks about God and all that shit all the time. And he seemingly Like from the surface, you would think he's probably Christian. You definitely don't think he's Muslim. You know, you definitely don't think he's like a Scientologist or something like that. At least to the former Trump supporter, I just wanted a safe border. From what? I mean, what are you talking about? A safe border? South Americans, Mexicans aren't doing you are in way more danger from your average white person than you are from anyone else. It's just a numbers game. But our country was the safest it had been in a long time under Biden. This idea of the borders are saying we got to keep those dirty Mexicans out. Mexicans aren't the ones killing people. I mean, a border that down at have fentanyl coming across is that one. Yeah, but fentanyl comes from China. Fentanyl comes from through the how come nobody ever talks about the northern border? How come we never want a northern border? Right? So it's okay if the drugs come across the northern side, but not the southern side. Safe borders. I mean, this is because you fall for the America thing. So you think because your grandparents and then subsequently your parents were having dirty, nasty sex and probably accidentally got pregnant with you, that you deserve more rights to life, happiness, freedom, all that, than a child whose parents happen to have sex in Palestine or in Mexico or somewhere else. You know, one of the biggest weapons they have is our patriotism, is this belief in phony, invisible borders. They are invisible borders. They're fake. They're decided by high-ranking Jews. Either way, we can defend our borders. I'm not talking about race. No, you are. You just don't want to acknowledge it. You know, and the thing is, you know you're actually like getting better and progressing and you're part of the good guy system when you can see that maybe you've been duped. Maybe you're kind of pushing something that you didn't realize you were pushing. But again, I never hear any of you, I guarantee you're white, I never hear any of you white people talk about we need a border on the north. Never. Why not? My mom is Mexican. Well, then why don't you want a border up top? Also, it's pretty hard to get your stream this time. Man, they're burying you. They're burying you from LMAO. You know, it's no different than any other time. You know, this is what they do. No. You don't know anything about me. I tried to agree with you. The northern border is French-Canadian. You're right. I only know what you present. And again, maybe we pull up our big girl pants and we realize that, hey, maybe we might be a little wrong or, you know. But you sure are getting upset when, you know, there's no reason to. You were getting a push a couple months ago. Oh yeah, no, I don't think I was necessarily getting a push, but the day after Charlie was kirked, you saw my feed go from thousands of views to maybe 100 if I'm lucky. You can see it for yourself. Go look at my history. It literally happened the day after Charlie was kirked. But again, like, you know, you getting mad because I'm pointing out a hole in your narrative, it's weird. You know, if you're right, you shouldn't get mad. I was just trying to agree. I was here. I don't know, man. Who gives a fuck who you are? You saw what was happening. I don't think I was getting a push. I thought I had a normal feed. I just had a normal feed. If anybody is as good as I am and as persistent as I am, they're going to get good numbers. But that's going to change if you, once they catch on, once whatever happens. Personally, I think they leave me up and going, one, so they can get my perspective, but two, so they can just, it's all about taking in information. It's all about taking in. You're stupid. You're so stupid, Rebecca, that you're trying to, talk shit. But he's not the Rob Van Dam guy. He didn't have Rob Van Dam as the profile. He's the guy that said it all the time. So you don't even know who you're talking about. See what I mean? You don't even get your rips right. Right, even he's laughing at you. And he's a troll. So, again, it's one of these things where, like a real non-racist, good person would say, holy shit, you're right, I haven't said anything about a northern border. Why don't I think about that? It would just dawn on you that maybe you've been duped. You've been fooled. But you don't want it to be that way. Nick Fuentes is supposedly half Mexican. Does that somehow absolve him from all of the horrible things he says? You didn't find a hole in there. This is a normal morning. I want to morning name in Europe. Then you say, hey, bro. You are. Until right. I said you hate brown people. That's what I said. God, you're dumb. I did find a hole in your narrative. That's why you got upset. That's what happens. People get upset when you find the hole. In some cases, I guess. Almost done here. I just want our borders safe. Again, think about how low level you have to be. To even fall for, even feel some sort of danger. You're in America, you're in the US, and you want your borders safe. Dude, we've never been in danger. We're not in danger. There's nothing that can even get to us, let alone, keeping our borders safe. And again, you're talking about keeping the borders safe from Mexicans. That's all you're saying. You just not. It's weird how racist people are. They're racist, but then they won't keep going. I love Nick Fuentes. Yeah, and you're a female. Wow, what a dumbass. And that's exactly it. America first. This racism, this bullshit racism. Because I know you don't believe Black Americans should have equal treatment and all that stuff. You're talking about white America first. But again, talk about how stupid you have. Why would you give a shit about America? Think about it. Your parents had sex here. That's literally all that you did. That's the only thing that contributed to you being born here. You have you have nothing to do with it. Taking pride in something you had nothing to do with is fucking strange. But to be a truther and say, oh, I'm a truther, but I still believe in Jesus and America first. You're an arrogant truther who stops looking into things once it crosses the lines that you don't like. Now I'm like your uncle. Okay. That's do you just want to be ignored? Is that it? Saying dumb things? Bitch. But you'll notice how, as always, it's not like these people come at me with better arguments. There's no intelligence that comes my way. No, you're wrong because of this and this. And I can tell you, you're categorically wrong because the whole idea of America is a construct. It's just like Israel. Israel doesn't exist. Israel exists because they tell us it does. The United States exists because they tell us it does. Yeah. In a natural setting, you could cross over the border from Mexico to the United States or from the United States to Canada, and you'd never know it. Other than the manufactured border, it's such stupidity. And you see this stupidity. And you see, like, again, you have a female talking about she loves Nick Fuentes. Does that even seem real? Nick Fuentes, the incel who hates women? What are you, crazy? If you look at the incel movement, it's like 95% men. It's like female Trump supporters. It's the same thing, where you just go, what? What? Are you stupid? Do you not know what this guy says? Yep, here we go. Look, now because this clown, again, can't, like, stay on topic, can't stay in the conversation because they're just getting exposed. Now they're going to start talking about all kinds of other stupid shit. Because it's all they have. Literally. It's all they have. They're just not smart. I mean, would you expect intelligence from a woman who loves Nick Fuentes? It just doesn't go together. But like I say, these are Christians. This is your average Christian who, or in Nick Fuentes' case, Catholic, who, like, it's like, so what, did you get to that point where you saw that it says, Catholicism, Christian, this is all comes from Judaism? Did you just stop there and go, oh wait, I don't want to read that anymore? Like, how do you stay in that mentality? These are just it's really strange. Like, I can't believe, like, I don't want to think women are stupid. I don't want to, I don't want the stereotypes about women to be true. But man, do they go out of their way to do it. It's so strange. They seemingly try to make you think they're stupid. Like I said, like how does that work? Again, do you just shut off? Do you look into things to a certain point, and then when it gets to that point, you go, oh crap, I don't want to learn anymore. Shut it down. Would someone take advice from a man walking in circles in his attic? In the attic? And apparently, you watch me all the time, and nobody's giving you advice. What are you even talking about? See, no one asked you to be here. You involved yourself in this conversation, trying to sound like you were smart, and then it failed. And instead of you pulling it out and making this work for you, now it's, oh, he's an old man. Typical dumb girls, man. It's just what it is. Look at the desperation. If I was wrong, trust me, none of these clowns are sitting on this really great argument that's going to destroy my whole argument. They're not sitting on this thing that they're just waiting for the right time to say this one thing that's going to just put me in my place. If I was wrong about literally anything, they would say it. They would jump all over it, and then they would try to, feed the full horse until it was, until they got their way. Look at how desperate they are. Look at the things that they come up with. Ooh, rage bait. That's... If somebody can rage bait you, you're a fucking clown. If someone can say words to you and you, I'm gonna get mad at you. You're rage baiting me. You're exactly who I'm talking about. And go figure, it's the dumb girl that says it. I don't write these things out, man. I just read what pops up. So anyway, I'm done with these fucking morons. Let's move past this. Okay, so Dershowitz is the author of several books about politics. Oh, wait. I didn't go far enough back. Sorry. Dershowitz has taken on since 2009. Dershowitz has represented such celebrity clients as Mike Tyson, Patty Hearst, Leona Helmsley, Julian Assange, and Jim Baker. Major legal victories have included 2 successful appeals that overturned convictions for Harry Reams in 1976, and then in 1984 for Klaus von Bülow, which his son then made into a movie, who had been convicted of the attempted murder of his wife, Sunny. In 1995, Dershowitz served as the appellant advisor on the murder trial of O.J. Simpson as part of the legal dream team alongside Johnny Carson and F. Lee Bailey. He was a member of Harvey Weinstein's defense team in 2018 and of President Trump's defense team in his first impeachment trial in 2020. He was a member of Jeffrey Epstein's defense team and helped to negotiate a 2006 non-prosecutorial agreement on Epstein's behalf. Non-prosecution agreement. Like, it would be yicky if he had one of those people. You know, if one of those was his clients. But you read that list and you're just like, you know, OJ, Weinstein, Trump, Epstein. I mean, these are, are there other higher profile cases than these that have, you know, that were at those times and whatnot? Jim Baker. Dershowitz is the author of several books about politics and law. Okay, so not only, I mean, I don't even think it's in question to be a lawyer, especially a high profile lawyer. You have to put in everything. You have to be dedicated, long nights, lots of reading, lots of research, you know, really, really, you know, all in on every trial, everything you're involved in, or else, you know, tiny little details can slip through the cracks. So to think that while he's also doing all of these extremely high profile cases, he's also writing books, including Reversal of Fortune inside the Bülow case, which they made into a movie. The basis of the 1990 film Chutzpah, or the basis of the 1990 film Chutzpah in 1991, Reasonable Doubts, the Criminal Justice System, and the O.J. Simpson case, 1996, The Case for Israel in 2003, and The Case for Peace in 2005. I mean, you know, 2 years? You're writing a new book in 2 years? Writing a book takes a lot out of you as well. This guy must just be so much better and stronger and smarter than the rest of us. His 2 most recent works are The Case Against Impeaching Trump, 2018, and Guilt by Association, The Challenge of Proving Innocence in the Age of Me Too. He's sitting here trying to say that it's really difficult to prove that you're innocent in this age where women women are speaking out. And the thing is, you know, I could get the highest level spotlight and that shit's not going to come out. Nobody's going to come out and be like, Guy Williams raped me. Never going to happen. It's fucking ridiculous that you know, I mean, and you say, oh, you're just a loser. Okay, well, think about how many other fucking famous people, really, really famous people, good-looking famous people. They don't have anything like this. They don't have any fucking... they don't have any accusations of violation from either women or against children. And, that's not like a common thing that people just have. Unless, of course, you're in this small circle of people who all hang out together. An ardent supporter of Israel, he has written several books on the Arab-Israeli conflict. So all these books that I listed off, these are just some of them. He's also writing other books. He's just so prolific that he's just writing all sorts of books. Dershowitz was born in Williamsburg, Brooklyn on September 1st, 1938, the son of Claire Ringel and Harry Dershowitz, an Orthodox Jewish couple, of course. He was raised in Borough Park. See, the part too that people just don't understand is they are extremely supremacist and separatist. It's so strange how openly racist they are, supremacist they are, and nobody, people talk about, but you're not allowed to talk about it. We're supposed to talk about anybody else that's like that, but when they do it, we're not supposed to talk about it. And if somebody does, well, you're just misunderstanding, or, it's okay because, or whatever. Ask yourself, look at the question, look at the commenters. Who the fuck is going to be mad because I'm talking about Alan Dershowitz? Seriously. Who's going to be mad at the things that I say other than the people that are guilty of those things? Who's going to get mad at the guy who thinks we should kill pedos and overthrow the friars? Other than pedos and friars. It's really obvious. He was raised in Borough Park. His father was a founder and president of Young Israel, a Borough Park synagogue in the 1960s. He just founded it and just, fuck yeah. And remember, these are the people that the tunnels were. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh shit, I'm gonna stop real quick. Rabbi tunnels. I forgot about this. Where is the interview with the rabbi who talked about the tunnel system? And yeah, we do our rituals in the tunnels. Oh, come on. Mila Kunis. Zuckerberg, Kunis, Braff, Charlie Puth. Don't know that guy. Natalie Portman, Adam Levine. Robert Downey is a friar. I did not know that. Makes sense, though. Sarah Silverman. Samantha Harris. Shia LaBeouf. Shia's a friar? I guess that makes sense, doesn't it? I guess that makes sense. Jake Gyllenhaal. Drake. Aubrey Drake. Doja Cat is Jewish? What? Adam Sandler. Scarlett Johansson. James Franco. Gwyneth Paltrow. I don't know about these guys. Elizabeth Berkley. Andrew Garfield. David Duchovny. Lenny Kravitz. Pink. Ben Stiller. God, he's so awful. I hate Ben Stiller so much. Sean Penn. Lisa Kudrow. David Schwimmer, of course. Madison Beer. Don't know who that is. Rob Schneider. All right, let's see here. I want to see something. All right, I got to see this. Let's see. Early life and education. Amala Ratna Zandile Dalmini was born October 21st, 1995 in Tarzana neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. Her mother, Deborah Sawyer, is an American graphic designer of Jewish heritage. Her father, Dusami Dalami, is a South African performer of Zulu descent. Holy shit, she is Jewish. Wow. Wow. I would have been totally wrong on that one. Let's see, Scarlett Johansson. I didn't know Scarlett Johansson was Jewish. Let's see. Doja Cat is Jewish. Wow. Early life. Scarlett Ingrid Johansson was born November 22nd, 1984 in Manhattan Borough, New York City. Johansson's father, Karstoff Olaf Johansson, is an architect originally from Copenhagen, Denmark. Through him, she is the goddaughter of Isner Johansson, an art historian, screenwriter, and film director whose own father was Swedish. Her mother, New Yorker Melanie Sloan, has worked as a producer. She comes from a Jewish family who fled Poland and Russia, originally surnamed Schlomberg. Johansson has referred to herself as Jewish. Wow. Well, you know, that's it. Like, okay, well, I guess I didn't know. Elizabeth Berkley. It would make sense because she was so horribly talented. She was born in Farmington Hills, Michigan. Literally, that's like 10 minutes from here. Holy shit. To Yari and Fred Berkeley, her mother was a gifted basket business owner and her father was a lawyer. She has an older brother, Jason. Her family is Jewish. And she was raised in a conservative Jewish household, celebrating her bat mitzvah at Beth Abram, Hillel Moses, and West Bloomfield. She was born with partial heterochromedia iridium, a condition of differently colored irises. Her right eye is half green and half brown, and her left eye is green. That matters. Jesus Christ. I mean, I looked up the people I had questioned, and God, it makes so much sense. Because you hear Doja Cat's shit, and you're like, well, ask yourself, how did she didn't tour. She wasn't out there on tour. She wasn't dropping mixtapes that were just blowing up underground. So how did she get to be another Lil' Kim lookalike? Because they're all Lil' Kim lookalikes. Isn't it strange that every single one of these black chicks that gets any sort of fame ends up trying to look like a fucking weird ass black Barbie doll kind of thing? Or they're just fucking whores. You know? What's that one? Ice Spice. She's such a whore. It's insane. It's just insane. It's crazy. So let's go back to Dersh. His father was the founder and president of Young Israel, a Borough Park synagogue in the 60s. Served on the board of directors of the Ertz Chaim School in Borough Park, and in retirement was co-owner of the Manhattan-based Merit Sales Company. Merit Sales Company. Dershowitz's first job was at a deli factory in Manhattan's Lower East Side in 1952 at the age of 14. Dershowitz attended Yeshiva University High School. Yeshiva University High School, an independent boys' prep school in Manhattan owned by Yeshiva University, where he played on the basketball team. Oh, I bet they're good. I bet that Yeshiva University High School prep team is good. You see them always in the finals of shit, right? I wonder if they ever even won a game. I mean, I guess they probably go against other Jewish schools, so maybe. They don't have any black guys, so you know they're not winning, right? He was a rebellious student, often criticized by his teachers. He later said his teachers told him to do something that, quote, requires a big mouth and no brain, so become a lawyer. That's all it is. You just have to have a big mouth and no brain, and you get to be a billionaire lawyer. Cool. Makes sense. After graduating from high school, he studied political science at Brooklyn College, graduating in 1959 with a Bachelor of Arts, magna cum laude. He then attended... So he was a rebellious student, often doing things, or told by people to do something that requires a big mouth and no brain, but then he graduates magna cum laude. That makes sense. Right? Isn't magna, you get like one grade lower than straight A's or something? Magna cum laude is meaning with great praise, typically awarded to graduates at the top 5 to 10, 15% of their class, depending on institution. The magna cum laude, meaning with praise, typically awarded to the top 25, 30, top 20, 25, or 33% of their class. And summa cum laude, meaning with the highest praise, typically awarded to the top 1, 2, to 5% of the class, depending on the institution. Some institutions do not award summa cum laude distinction or award, others choosing to award it only in extraordinary circumstances. What the fuck? Oh. He then attended Yale, where he was editor-in-chief of the Yale Law Journal, of course. He graduated in 1962, ranked first in his class with a Bachelor of Laws. In 1997, he was a member of the conservative Minyan at Harvard Hillel, but a secular Jew. Conservative, oh, it's a different thing. In Judaism, a minyan is the quorum of 10 Jewish adults required for certain religious obligations. In all traditional Orthodox practicing Jewish religious movements, only men aged 13 years and older may constitute a minyan. The minimum of 10 Jews needed for a minyan has its origin, in part, in Abraham's prayer to God in Genesis 18:32. The minyan has additional roots in the judicial structure of ancient Israel, as Moses first established it in Exodus 18:25. So this is where it gets a little like, it gets fucked up, right? Because they're saying that these things, these terms, these ideas that are then adopted into real life are based on this fairy tale, on the biblical fairy tale. Like, isn't that strange? Don't you think that's fucking strange? Why would anybody be desperately saying all kinds of stupid shit, desperately trying to stop me from talking about this stuff? Seriously, look at the comments. Does it make sense? How many of you find somebody actually talking about some sort of political stuff or whatever, and instead of addressing what's happening in the feed and addressing what's being said, you just say all kinds of goofy shit and then cry about not being acknowledged? Like, it's just such typical Israeli friar, it's just as obvious as it gets. And I can't think of anybody else that would have the motivation. Again, why do I have 2,500 followers? Why do I have 2,500 subscribers if they're not going to come when I go live? Why would they ever subscribe to me? And why wouldn't they, when they do see me live, come in and at the very, it's never like I was talking about something else. If you subscribe to my page, it's because you knew, this is what I do, this is what I talk about, and you like it. It's refreshing for you to find somebody that's actually talking about these things. One of the white guys that I see all the time at Mukosos or Musos or something like that, Alex Jones just blew him up. He was a prominent, video maker on Facebook and whatnot, but nothing crazy. And then Alex Jones is like, hey, I watched this guy. He was bang on about Israel, about Netanyahu, and yada. Fuck Alex Jones with every last dirty fucking friar dick. He sucks, man. Fuck that guy. That guy is such a piece of shit, I can't even begin to tell you.
The Jews, Mr. Jones, have inflicted tremendous harm upon the United
Sounds
States.
like a Jew saying it,
From
too.
your perspective, should the Jews be gotten rid of? Yes, they should. In every country. All right, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to stop you right there.
Let you make the point.
I am Jewish.
Nobody ever talks about that, though, do they? Nobody ever talks about how Alex Jones literally fought against people, talked about this shit until he couldn't anymore. He couldn't maintain his position as, hey, okay, number one, truth of number one, tough guy, super cool, without talking about Israel. And the fact that he's just gotten away with it. I mean, it's like Ken O'Keefe. Ken O'Keefe changed my life. I sort of knew a lot about a lot of this stuff, but it wasn't put to me the right way yet. It hadn't been put to me in a way that, no frills, no bullshit. This is what it is. And then I fell out, I stumbled onto Ken O'Keefe. And I was just like, holy shit, this is that guy. I found the guy. I even told people, stop watching me. If you're going to watch me, then let me take this opportunity to promote Ken O'Keefe. And go watch him. Go support him. Any support you have for me, give it to Ken O'Keefe. And then he does this World Citizen thing where he raises over $130,000 in donations from us, from the Goyim that he tricked into believing in him. And like at the time, a lot of my viewers were people that had given him money. I think Pam was one of them. Pam Martin. She comes through periodically. But, there were, Rita, there were several people that had given him money. And then he disappeared. And he took that money and he supposedly went down to Colombia and lived it up for a year or two with his, 20-something-year-old girlfriend. And like the whole thing was just fucking crazy. It was crazy. And when it comes to Ken O'Keefe, like, it's actually sort of more evidence of my censorship in that, everything I ever say about Ken O'Keefe, it's from my personal experience. Not ever, but most of the things I say about Ken O'Keefe are from my personal experience. It wasn't like I'm telling you the story from somebody else, that, telephone game story. No, this directly happened to me. I was directly involved in it. And, and then you look into Ken and you realize, like, he emerges. Remember when I played you the Naphtali Bennett clip? And Bennett says, for example, if people search the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys that influence what is written, how it is written, and to ensure that it has a balanced and Zionist perspective. That 2010 Gaza flotilla, that's where Ken O'Keefe emerges from. That's his birth onto the scene. And it's just strange. It's strange. i.e. the rule of tens. Cyrus Adler's and Louis Naftali, he's a Naftali Dembit's entry for minyan in the Jewish Encyclopedia, that's a thing, states the minimum of 10 is evidently a survival in the synagogue from the much older institution in which 10 heads of families made up the smallest political subdivision. In EX, 18, Moses, on the advice of Jethro, appoints chiefs of tens as well as chiefs of fifties, of hundreds, and of thousands. In like manner, there were the decurio among the Romans and the thithingmen among the early English. Thithingmen. Or is it tithingmen? It's tithingmen. Yes, my bad. Tithingmen. The most common activity requiring a minyan is a public prayer. According to the term, minyan in contemporary Judaism has taken on the secondary meaning of reference to a given prayer service in general. Rituals. Some rituals require a minyan, the presence of a rabbi, a teacher, not a priest. is not essential. It is said that 9 rabbis do not constitute a minyan, but 10 cobblers can. Minyan is M-I-N-Y-A-N. The following instances in which require a minyan are listed in the Mishnah and Megillah. Public worship, which consists of the additional readings of Kaddish, the minor tractate Sofrim contains a passage 10:7, often interpreted as asserting that the land of Israel at the time 7 men were allowed to hold public offices, or that the repeating of Kaddish and Baruch at the synagogue for the benefit of latecomers, and declares that in Israel such repetition is permitted only when 7, according to others, when 6 men are present who have not yet heard these responsive readings. I'm telling you, their shit is so weird. Their shit is just so weird. Okay. The priestly blessing, reading from the Torah and prophets with the associated benedictions, 7 benedictions reciting at a wedding or at any meal of the bridegroom and bride within a week of the wedding. However, the last blessing, Ashar Barach, may be recited in the presence of 3 men. This is so stupid. Using the formulation, let us bless our God from whose wealth we have eaten in preparing for grace after meals. Ancient funeral ceremonies, no longer in use, which incorporated arranging the standing and sitting, reciting the benedictions of the mourners, and the consolation of the mourners. Other instances which require the presence of a minyan include recitation of the 13th attributes of mercy, recitation of the Bikrat HaGomel, while the required quorum for most activities requiring a quorum is usually 10. It is not always so. For example, the Passover sacrifice or Korban Pesach from the days of the Temple Judaism of Jerusalem, the Temple in Jerusalem, must be offered before a quorum of 30. Let's see. In Judaism, the Korban, also spelled Korban or Korban, is any of a variety of sacrificial offerings described and commanded in the Torah. The plural form is don't give a fuck. The term Korban primarily refers to sacrificial offerings given by humans to God to show homage, win favor, or secure pardon. Why don't the friars have a king anymore? That's a good question. Well, this is pretty interesting. I mean, let's look at what this says about the sacrifice, because it's really actually hard to find information on the sacrificial bullshit that they do. So I'm actually kind of excited, thinking maybe we'll find something here. The object sacrifice was usually an animal that was ritually slaughtered and then transferred from the human to the divine realm by being burned upon an altar or a holocaust. Other sacrifices include grain offerings, which were made from flour and oil instead of meat. I mean, in what reality does the God want you to kill things for its pleasure and then burn? Like, what sense does that make? What is the reasoning behind that? I asked God for some favor, and God was like, all right, but you got to go kill a couple of things and then burn their fucking flesh on the altar, and then I'll be happy. What kind of weird shit is that? Don't you think that's a little strange? Like, it just, We all know about it, but we never actually like delve into that part. Like, for what? I know Yahweh is a sick, sick piece of shit. You know, I can't imagine why anybody would ever want to follow Yahweh. But it's like, where did these ideas even come from? You know, because what you end up finding out is so much of what they believe was supposedly, you know, some rabbi in the 1400s came up with this idea, or, you know, in the in the thousands, or in the whatever, in the early aughts. Like, these aren't generally things commanded by God. They're things that some fucking high-ranking one name from one place, you know, Chaim from Jerusalem or whatever. Somehow he decides this, and it just lasts forever. And then they also say, oh no, we don't do that anymore. So wasn't it a part of the thing though? Like, wasn't it important? When did God go, hey, you no longer need to do that thing I always wanted you to do? I mean, it's all just stupid. Like, their whole thing is fucking stupid. And this is where I would give anything to be able to have a conversation with Ben Shapiro. His fucking terrorist ass. Ben Shapiro is a fucking terrorist. He's another guy that I just hope dies. I hope they die. I hope Netanyahu dies. I hope Trump dies. I hope Bezalel Smotrich dies. I hope Alan Dershowitz dies. I hate these fucking people. Ben Shapiro being, you know, at the top of that list. He is such an open bigot, open supremacist. It's like, dude, you love Israel so much. Get your ass over there. Why don't you just go there and be cool? And why do you, you know, you love Israel so much, but you choose to sponge off of the United States? And who actually, like, who's actually listening to Ben Shapiro? I mean, the Friars make up 2% of the population. Outside of Friars, who does Ben Shapiro appeal to? What conservative white American Christians are watching Ben Shapiro? You know, when Trump's talking about, man, Jimmy Kimmel has very terrible ratings, and you know, Stephen Colbert. Isn't it funny how Jimmy Kimmel was brought back on TV immediately, while Colbert, not so much. And Colbert had the biggest of the shows. Colbert's show destroys Jimmy Kimmel's. And yet, weird, huh? Just weird. Just one of those weird things. Just think about all this stuff, man. It's all right here. And so ask yourself, again, why is Ben Shapiro famous? Why is Ben Shapiro interviewed? You know, any of it. He shouldn't be a guy that anybody talks about. He shouldn't be famous by in any sort of way. You know what? I'm going to reset because this is bullshit. So hopefully you guys come back and join me. Pedophiles, kill yourself.